Good morning, Greater Purpose. Pablo here with announcements. But before that, man, it's been 8 months of this craziness. And this year for me has passed so quick. It's crazy. But that's in my case. I don't know your case. I hope you and your family are doing good. And let's start with announcements. After our service, we have a fellowship time that goes from 12:30 to 1:30. We give you a little bit of break if you want something to eat, something to drink, and then come over, tell us about your week, tell us about whatever you want to tell us. At the beginning and at the end of this video, we have a slide with a Zoom link. So feel free to join us, and we want to hear from you. On Wednesdays, with the same Zoom link, we have fellowship time again, but this one is a little bit more fun. We do some games, we watch TV shows. I hope to see you there. That happens Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Next one, this one is a fun one. On October 28th, we are doing a costume contest for Halloween. We've been doing this for a couple years now, and it's always fun. But this one, it's a little bit different. We're gonna do it virtual, but feel free to invite whoever you want. Invite your kids, your family members, whoever, and we will see what the winner will win. At this time, we're not taking tithes, but if you're in need, share your story with us. A private message. If you wanna share it to the public, feel free to post it on our Facebook page and put your Venmo ID under there. And if you are in the position to help, others, please do so. We appreciate that. After our service, we have our communion time. Grab your cup of wine, cup of soda, whatever you want to drink and whatever you want to eat, and share with us communion. And the last one, we've been talking in our staff meetings that we want to do every 3 months. We want to do a special fellowship time. And there's been a lot of conversations if we want to do it in person or not in person. But we are open to suggestions. If you have any ideas, feel free to tell us if you have any ideas. And that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoy this, and see you next week. Bye.
Hey y'all, welcome to our weekly live cast. I am so glad that you are choosing to be here with us in this safe and affirming digital space, and that you are joining us in some nonviolent revolutionary dialogue. Heresy, I say. Now, for those of you that are new here or that do not know me well, I am Christopher Van Hall. I'm the pastor of Greater Purpose Community Church in Santa Cruz, California. I'm the author of Reborn Again, Crucifying Christendom and Resurrecting a Radical, and I am a co-founder of the Greater Purpose Brewing Company, which is a brewery that is funded by a church and that will raise funds for nonprofits, and that brew is coming to a tap near you soon. So get your pint glasses ready. Now, it's been a while, y'all, since we have had the chance to chat. And I think we need some time to chat. And by chat, I mean me rant. My podcast is called Revved Up for a reason, because certain things rev me up. And time has been limited for that revved upping because we had two amazing consecutive interviews. We had Native activist and journalist Corinne Rice 2 weeks ago, and following that bomb interview, we had the myth and the legend Brian McLaren last week. Now, both were just outstanding. I mean, so many mic drops from those two amazing leaders. And if you missed either one, I highly encourage you to go on Spotify or go on Apple Podcast and subscribe to Revved Up Theologics, because that's where we put our sermonizing and our conversations. And while you are there, do me a favor, y'all. Not trying to sound cliche here, but y'all smash that like button. And if you could, if you've been enjoying things, leave a positive review because that helps us with our reach of our message. Now, I personally despise the notion of marketing myself. I have to do it though, because that's just how you get the word out for our online community. So help us out, Digital Fam. And speaking of growth, great news. A local radio station here in Santa Cruz, California, is picking up the podcast for a weekly broadcast. So lots of exciting opportunities are coming our way. So pumped. Okay, now I'm done with the infomercialing, the commercializing. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. As in you. I mean, as in the last few weeks. You. Y'all, we need to have a dialogue right now. We need to seriously unpack some major events in our nation's history. Recently, we have had some national developments, and we should discuss all the big ones. So let's get after it because we only have a limited amount of time here. First and foremost, there was no justice for Breonna Taylor, which is gut-wrenching. And the only charges against the cops that murdered her in her own home were for the bullets that missed this woman. That is injustice. If this was a white woman, there would be militias protesting in the streets right now. And do not even get me started on the NRA. I told you this was going to be the epitome of me being revved up today. Do not get me started on the NRA. They have not said a damn thing in her defense. The hypocrisy is just dripping from this situation. Now, you might be asking yourself, how so, Christopher? Well, I will tell you, Kevin. My entire life, I grew up hearing rednecks say things like, I need this here AR-15 for protection. I need it for when the zombies or when the fascist government invade my home and try and take my rights from me. I need it to defend my family and stand my ground like a proper Southerner and a patriot. Yet when Breonna Taylor, when her boyfriend shot at one of the officers for invading their home with a no-knock warrant, which in my opinion is unconstitutional, he assumed he was being robbed and he was being invaded, and these pistophiles don't say a goddamn thing. And to make matters worse, they want to victim blame Breonna Taylor as if she was somehow responsible for her boyfriend's actions, which I believe were justified. And his actions were the exact same fucking protocol that every redneck and every gun enthusiast in America professes proudly that they fantasize about on a daily basis because they all want the opportunity to stop invaders with lethal force. I call bullshit. Your silence is screaming racial biases, and it is a beacon of your hypocrisy. If you cared about defending the lives of innocent African Americans, you would stand, or innocent Americans in general, you would stand with Black Lives Matter and unite against fascism with Antifa, but instead you have decided that activists and anti-fascists are somehow your enemy. You aren't patriots, you are wet nurses to tyrants. Full stop, end of story. Apparently, those boots are barbecue flavored or fried chicken or bourbon flavored because y'all proud Southerners just love licking them publicly. And these same conservatives have the nerve to think that the racial divide that we have in this country is somehow a political tactic. Maybe as a nation, we could just try not murdering innocent black people. Maybe that would calm the civil unrest. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, just a thought. And if that tragedy was not bad enough, recently we lost another hero in this country. I mean, it's been a rough couple of weeks. And I need to tone things down for this because I cannot tell you how personally heartbroken I was. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I lift my glass to you. This one is for you. We owe you some good trouble if we owe no one else. So if you've got a glass near you, friends, let's all cheers to the work and to the character of RBG. May we be half the thorn in the side of empire and misogyny that she was. And church, I challenge you, friends, I challenge you, we cannot let her work perish on our watch with our passivity. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a true American patriot, and she passed, and it was a gut punch to all of us. I mean, we have been struggling with 2020 for some time now, but this was a day that we will never forget, and we will always feel the impact of this day. And to make this loss even more difficult to process, it was just the timing of the whole thing. Not that death comes at a convenient time for any of us, but the timing was so hard because this tragedy could not have happened at a more inconvenient moment in this political cycle, because this is the opportunity that Mitch freaking stinking McConnell has been waiting for. We have not seen Mitch McConnell this excited since he first saw Old Yeller get shot on TV. I mean, and the candidate that Trump has nominated could not be more quintessential to the efforts of both sexism and authoritarianism, because she is part of a group of sexist, charismatic evangelicals that not only believe in ridiculous anti-scientific theology like miraculous healings and speaking in tongues, but she also believes that women should submit to men in seats of power in all situations. Yeah, it sounds like she's going to be a fair judge. And make no mistake, she will work tirelessly to strike down Roe versus Wade. If Trump is Voldemort, y'all, she is Umbridge. And by the way, also, J.K. Rowling, WTF? Dumbledore would be ashamed of you, and I hope Mrs. Weasley sends you a howler because you have earned it. 5 points from Slytherin for being an out and proud TERF. 5 points. And yes, I assumed you were Gryffindor back in the day, but you were definitely a Slytherin. Talking about mudbloods and stuff like that. Don't even get me started. Oh, it's so frustrating. Y'all, for the last 2 weeks, right, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, I have been absolutely enraged, absolutely infuriated about all of this. But fate, it seems, may have another plan to quell at least some of these tragedies. Because as of this week, Donald Trump has tested positive for coronavirus. And not only has he tested positive for coronavirus, just before I recorded this podcast, we discovered that he knew for 3 days and went to rallies intentionally exposing other Americans to this deadly disease. Now, I'm not bold enough to say that this was somehow a divine appointment, but talk about irony and poetic justice here. I mean, 4 years ago, to the day, the exact day, Trump mocked Hillary Clinton for being weakened due to a bad case of pneumonia. And just this Wednesday, this week, Trump bullied Biden for taking precautions and wearing a mask at all times and keeping social distance and being extra cautious. Not to mention, Trump has had this lackadaisical approach to social distancing and PPE and taking necessary safety measures like washing hands and wearing a mask. I mean, again, poetic justice. And as a clergy person right now, I'm conflicted. I am struggling with how to feel right now. And I don't know if you are struggling with that too, but I want to speak on that because I think we've all been feeling some really heavy things lately. Now, for me, ethically, I personally struggle with the notion of wishing anyone to suffer or die, but at the same time, I don't wish Trump well either. And I'm just being honest. I told y'all that I would never lie to you. And this is not necessarily something I'm proud of. It's just something I'm feeling, right? And you may be in the same boat. 7.4 million cases in America, hundreds of thousands hospitalized for days and weeks, and over 200,000 Americans have died from this situation with COVID-19 that was absolutely preventable if we would have had competent leadership. And every one of these innocent Americans paid more a month in taxes than Donald Trump did in a year with a fraction of his income. Every single one of those people paid more taxes than he did. Some humility, in my opinion, is just what the doctor ordered. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, what about when they go low, we go high, Christopher? What about taking the high road? And I'm not saying you're wrong, all right? I'm not saying you're wrong, so don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm just saying that that's easier said than accomplished for me in this specific scenario, because we didn't have to go anywhere. We didn't have to go low. We didn't even have to go high. Trump went there all on his own. Trump did this to himself. And as an advocate for nonviolence, I could not be more elated that Trump contracted this preventable disease. And to be clear, don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not saying that I wish Trump dies. I am not saying that I'm excited about the possibility of Trump dying from coronavirus. That's not the reason for my elation in the least. The potential for Trump to possibly experience serious symptoms, not life-threatening symptoms, but intense symptoms from a virus that he downplayed and that his incompetence caused 205,000+ innocent lives to be lost, including my own grandfather, is the definition of justice poetically or metaphorically, regardless of the outcome, whether Trump lives or not. He has fallen on his own sword, and no violence was necessary against him or needed or suggested whatsoever. And I hope I truly hope this. I hope Trump enjoys quality free health care that his taxes did not pay for during this time, but that every hardworking blue collar American or every American of every class deserves, because healthcare should be a right. And I'm glad someone gets to experience free healthcare. But beyond quality healthcare, I hope in the process that the Trumps learn how to care in general, because they like to flaunt the fact that they don't care, and they are so proud of this that they have it screen printed on their attire. So whether Trump survives, the Trumps survive or not, is irrelevant, because irony and poetic justice has been served this week, and it was piping hot. I can't drop this mic, it's on a stand, but I feel like that was a mic drop. Now, will Trump make it? I do not want to be an alarmist about this, so please don't misunderstand me. It's Saturday for me now, and as I'm recording this, from what I've seen, we have no reason to believe that Trump will perish at this moment. Most people, even if they are higher risk, do recover. But in the last 24 hours, it turns out that not only has Trump been infected, but a substantial number of Trump's key political allies and figures have contracted coronavirus as well. Y'all, and part of me wonders if RBG has successfully pleaded her first case to Yahweh, right? Because if there's anybody that could do it, it's RBG, and maybe she was trying to stop the momentum that the GOP has on ending her life's work. You know, part of me wonders if that's a possibility, because there was clearly a surprise last Saturday with this cluster at the SCOTUS nomination last week, and a substantial number of leaders have been infected that are leaders that are going to be key for getting a bigoted replacement of RBG on the stand. So, you know, part of me is at least grateful that this hopefully will delay the process. But with all of these emotions, right, this just sea of feelings that we all have, the question that I've been asking myself is, how should I feel about all of this as a follower of the scriptures, as a follower of the sacred text? And look, y'all, with everything going on in this nation, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel in this moment. And I work for Jesus, right? Like, on the one hand, the Gospels clearly say that you have heard it said that you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. But that is not all the scriptures have to say about this regarding how we should respond to evil. I mean, several passages in Proverbs are indicative of an alternative viewpoint, and I want to read those to you. The text says this: those who justify the wicked and those who condemn the righteous are both alike an abomination to the Lord. Open your mouth for the mute and for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor fiercely and the rights of the needy. Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of their fury will fail. Y'all, one's in the Old Testament, one's in the New Testament, and I am just sweetly torn between the two. My ethical code is teetering right now as a minister between love your enemies and tyrants must fall. And maybe you're in the same place. Your feelings about this, regardless of where you fall, I want you to know this. Biblically, those feelings are validated. And I think ethically, you are valid. Because there's no perfect methodology in combating evil. Anti-fascism is a multifaceted approach, right? And for all those listening, regardless of your own response in regards to Trump's present diagnosis, can we just stop emotion shaming people for experiencing conflicting ideals about this to your own? Can we just stop? Because just because we're not anxiously awaiting to dance on someone's grave, that does not make someone complicit, far leftist. But more moderate folks and more centrist folks, y'all don't get excited either, because just because we don't shed a tear for a ruthless dictator does not make us heartless, right? Both feelings make us human, and both are more than reasonable given the circumstances. Friends, our emotional response to injustice and to those who wield it for their own benefit does not define who we are. Light and dark can be found buried within all of us, inside all of us. And regardless of how we feel, it is the injustices that they have done, it is the evil that they have inflicted that is the source of our emotions and our inner turmoil, right? Because our actions define who we truly are, and they alone reveal our true moral integrity. Whether Trump and his minions recover from COVID or not, they have so much to answer for. So let people extend their grace or their disdain, or maybe both, because all are warranted. I mean, do you want to personally extend thoughts and prayers and well wishes to the Trump family? That's fine. That's fine. I would argue that in a lot of ways, that's admirable. But perhaps those thoughts and prayers, will be as pointless as they were in stopping climate change and school shootings. But I digress. If you want to do that, I admire that. But perhaps you are indifferent to the fate of truly evil people that sow death and destruction in the wake of their policies. Or maybe you hope their time on earth is up, so innocents can no longer suffer under their rule. Or perhaps you are like me and you're standing at the intersection of all three of these sensations. And you can lean one way or the other depending on what information happens to come your way in that moment. Regardless, you are valid. Your feelings, they're valid. And you are all biblically validated in these responses, because throughout my sacred text, you will find all three of these notions, every single one of them. And what you need to understand, folks that are kind of judgmental about people that aren't hoping this turns out well, or people that are enraged, or people that are indifferent. Nonviolence is not the absence of rage. And the work of liberation is complex and multifaceted. Ultimately, our individual feelings, without those feelings manifesting into reality, they're harmless anyway, right? Which is why the scriptures say that in your anger, do not sin. Because feelings don't manifest into harmful realities. Actions do. And it is possible to be angry, even infuriated, even to hate all that is evil, and still not qualify as being sinful. Because we're humans. We have emotions. We have feelings. And they're okay. Actions define us. Feelings do not. So friends and comrades of the revolution, however you feel, know that you are not responsible for putting those emotions and those inner struggles inside of your mind in the first place. But we are responsible in what we do with those, because our hands and our feet leave lasting footprints on earth, not our thoughts. And I pray that regardless of our opinions, we can encourage humanity to take a path in which we can cultivate life, equality, and justice, and cease all that is destructive for the cause of true liberation. And until next week, may peace be with you, and may justice emanate from your hands and from your feet. And regardless of how you feel about this unprecedented moment in a presidential cycle, know that you are validated, you are affirmed, and we're in this together. Until next week, no justice, no peace. And now, may the revolution of Jesus go with you wherever it may send you. May it guide you in healing this wasteland and protect you through the storm. May it lead you through this world seeking the justice it demands for you and for others. And may it bring you home preparing to continue love's mission beyond your doors. Grace and justice to you.